In this video, we're going to be checking out a 3-burner gas grill by Master Cook. So we got this on Amazon. This is the box it came in. It's a decent size. You can see here what the grill looks like. Here's the weight, almost 47 pounds, and the dimensions of the box. Let's go ahead and open it up and see what we got inside. So this is what we see on top. It looks like lots of pieces. Styrofoam for packing. Looks like we got some hardware here. User manual and probably instruction manual on how to put this thing together. A little separate paper here saying there's some kind of foam inside to remove it before using. There's all our parts, quite a bit of them. And here we go, more detail. Our hardware and step-by-step instructions on how to put it together with 16 steps. So yeah, quite a bit of assembling to do with this grill. So I'm gonna pull all the pieces out of the box and we'll start putting it together. All right, so I started pulling pieces out and everything is plastic wrapped, which is nice. And it looks like we have a very large piece that needs to come out. We can see the top here and it's actually quite a nice size. Not a tiny grill, but not huge either. And we have a really nice thermostat there that goes all the way to 800 and this nice metal logo. Alright, so I just flipped the box upside down and dumped it out, and now we can see the underside of the grill. Looks pretty well built. You can see all of the gas adjustments there. Everything looks pretty nice, and we have self-igniter here, but it appears there's only one, so I guess the other one's light from the middle one. But yeah. Alright, so the upper portion's out of the box, and when we open it, we can see we have quite a few things inside. So I'm going to continue to get these pieces all out and we'll finally start putting it together. Well guys, there's a box, and then inside the box there's more boxes. So yeah, the parts keep coming and coming, and yeah, be prepared to spend some time putting this thing together. And these looks like some accessories, wheels, knobs, lighter thing. Looks like feet, but yeah, quite a few pieces for sure. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Looks like we're coming to an end here. Got a rod. So this is the kind of mesh or platform that we're using. Pretty skinny, looks like steel, and it is painted or enamel coated, and I believe it's like a special coating. But yeah, hopefully it's pretty durable, and we might have to be careful not to scratch it. Quite well packed on this thing. Lots of foam everywhere, and we can see our burners are installed, and these are stainless steel. It'll look like they'll be quite durable for the long haul. So yeah, the bottom looks pretty good. We got a drain here, and we might actually put some foil in there, aluminum foil, so it's easier to clean once it builds up. That's pretty much the unpacking here. So for step one, we're going to grab this leg frame and connect the plastic feet on it, and also put 2 screws which are CC. And if we go to our hardware, we can see what the CCs are. You can see here it says CC times 2. So these are the 2 we're going to need, and I got a little Phillips here. So the 2 frames are different. This one is thinner on the bottom here. That one has the cutout for the propane, looks like, but it's this one here. The feet, if you guys look at them, they're kind of poking out on one end there, so that's going to go to the outside like that, and the other one's going to go here. They just literally slide into there. Looks like we need to tap them in there. But yeah, pretty much like that. And then once this lines up with this hole, we'll put 2 of these little screws in there, which are called a CC. All right, so feet are in, little screws are in on the side, and that is step 1. So for step 2, we're going to install this long metal rod, and we'll also need this little wing nut, which is a FF on the top side of the same piece, and you guys can see where the brackets are, but I don't think that really matters as it only goes in one way. So this is what the rod looks like. It's got thread on one end, so that part is going to go to the top, and the bottom one is like a hook. It just hooks in there, and then the threaded part will go through like that. And then we're going to put the wing nut, which is that one right there. It says FF on the end here. All right, so that's on. Not sure how much they want us to tighten it, but I'm going to leave it kind of loose as it's already kind of warping it a bit. And that's step 2. So for step 3, we're going to grab the one we just built, and then the other one here where the propane goes, looks like, with those cutouts. And then we're going to connect them together with the small brace in between, and we're going to use 4 AA bolts to combine them together. So this is the brace here. And also, guys, notice on the top that the tabs are pointing away from each other, which here you can't actually put it any other way because the threads are on this side. The same thing for this piece. They're also on this side. So here we have the AA bolts. There's 17. We're gonna need 4. And so we're literally just connecting this to one side and then the other. Alright, so our brace is connected, 2 bolts on each side, and this is what we should have. And if it's leaning down, it's fine, because for the next step, which is step 4, we're going to be installing the wheels, which will need 2 nuts. Also, we need the wheels, the covers, and the rod that goes in between. So this is the rod. It has threads on each side, and it's literally going to go through this hole. and out the other side. So let's grab our wheels. And these are the beauty covers for the outside of the wheel. And so this part that has the little pokes out kind of, not the flat side, it's going to go towards the frame, as that's what's going to keep it away from rubbing on the frame. And then on this side, we're going to put this nut, which is a GG, and there's 2 of them. They're locking nuts. So let's go ahead and raise this up, slide our wheel on, and then we can put our locking nut on here. So you're going to need a wrench or some kind of socket for this to run it down a bit. And then we'll do the same thing for this other side, put a nut on it also. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten those up, and then we'll clip on these covers. All right, so I got the nuts on, and it is a little tricky because what you need to do is you need to have enough or the same equal amount sticking out on one side and the other pretty close, and you don't want to tighten it too hard because then the wheels won't really roll. You just want to have a small little play in between, and you might need also a couple tools like a wrench and something to hold the rod with, like pliers, so you can spin the individual side to exactly the amount you need, because if you leave this thing too long, the caps won't be able to click on. It'll be in the way. But yeah, once we're good here, we can go ahead and line up the cap and then press it on, and that's what it looks like. Same thing for this side. All right, so far so good. So for next part, we're going to be installing bolts without nothing, and the reason for that is because we're going to hang these panels on the bolts, looks like. So there's 8 bolts total here, and then the panels will go on it, and I believe we can tighten them after that. But yeah, they're the BB, which are these. They're different than the AA. That's what they look like. So we're just literally installing them here. We're starting them basically. So there's 1 on top, and then 2 in the middle, and then 1 on the bottom. And it's the same on this side also. So we're literally just gonna start them like a good amount, about halfway in or so, because after that we're gonna hang those panels on here and then tighten them up. All right, our little bolts are in. Let's grab a panel. On the picture there, it shows that the one with the holes goes on top, I guess, which there's some holes here. Oh wait, there's holes everywhere. Okay, so it doesn't really matter, but you guys can see how it kind of slides over. So we're literally gonna just see if I can show you guys, line it up there with the bolts. Once you go down and all of your bolts are slotted down, and we can see what that looks like, we can go ahead and tighten them up. And same thing for that other panel down there. So the mistake I made is you want to do the bottom panel first and then the top, because you can't slide the bottom one in when the top one's in there. So it doesn't really matter. I just took out the bolts from the bottom and I'll put them back in. Yeah, this is basically what it's going to look like. All the bolts are tightened and everything looks pretty good. So for the next part, which is step 6, we're going to install this little plate here that is going to use the last 2 BB bolts, and it's on the side of where the wheels are. This panel here, kind of see it, so it's going to go like this, and there are 2 holes, threads here. They'll line up with the holes just like that. All right, and this is what it looks like. There's just this thing hanging here. All right, so let's go to the next step, which is 7. So we're going to install this right over here. So that looks like the propane holder maybe, but yeah, on this side, same one with the plate that we just installed. This thing is going to literally go into that hole right there, and then the other side on this side, and then it's literally just going to fall down. And that does look like it's the correct way here. So for step 8, looks like we're going to the grill box, and we're going to be installing the handle and the knobs on the grill itself. So we're going to need 2 HH and 2 AA bolts. So the HH is going to go between the metal and the handle, and then the bolts are going to go on the back side to tighten up the metal to the body. So the HH is this little washers, and then the AA is going to be 2 of these bolts. It looks like these are like high temperature washers. We'll grab our handle, which by the way is really nice and stainless steel. And so this is where our handle is going to go. But we do need to put a washer first, then the handle on top of that, and then the little bolt goes from underneath. All right, so our handle's on. So we also need to install our knobs. There are 3 of them. They all look the same, and they're chrome plated plastic knobs. Pretty nice. If you guys see there's a flat spot. There's also a flat spot here, so it's on the bottom. So what you're gonna do is just gonna line up the flat spot, and you can kind of feel it. Once it lines up, then we're gonna push it down on it. And that's it. Same thing here. Flat spots on the bottom. Line it up, push it in, and here also. And that's it. We got our knobs on. And by the way, guys, I noticed that on this middle knob, we do have the lightning bolt, which does show us that the middle one is the only one that ignites. The other 2 just ignite off of the middle one once it's going. So there's even a big sticker here reminding us to remove some kind of foam inside. It's underneath here. Unfortunately, it's not peeling very nice. But yeah, make sure you check that you don't have that piece of foam underneath. All right, so now it's time to land the big boy, the whole thing, onto the base. And we're going to use 1 wing nut and 3 AA bolts to secure it here on the tabs. These right here onto the body. So the wing nut is going to hold our igniter or match holder thing, and it has this little loop that we'll use to connect it. So I'm going to grab the grill and set it on top of here. And we can see that the igniter goes to the right front, which is over here, and I got the grill on here. So we got the tabs lining up, the bolts on the grill. Or should I say the nuts on the grill? So let's grab 3 AA bolts and the EE wing bolt. I think I've been calling it a nut. And this is what we're talking about here. So it's gonna go through the chain loop here, and just like that. And then we're gonna go to the front and install it right there. Basically, that's where it goes. So now we can hook our little match holder. There's a little hook here, and just like that. And then it just kind of hangs down there in case you need to use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these bolts in through the rest of them. And now we can go to the next step, which is 10. And we're gonna be installing, it looks like maybe a bracket of some sort and some bolts. Yeah, 2 brackets. I can see a little picture there with 4 AA bolts. These are the brackets they're talking about here. So they got the 5s and the 6s. So the 5 goes towards the back and the 6 goes towards the front. So basically they go like this. So this is 5. Arrow is gonna be pointing up, and we can see there, it's exactly how they go, just like that. So 5 to the back, 6 to the front, which looking here from the back, the 5 will go like this, and the 6 will go like that, with 4 AA bolts. And I'm guessing the next step, yep, is just on the other side, same way, 5 and 6. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and install all of them, and then we'll go to the next step. All right guys, so it's not as simple as it looks. As on this side, the 6 goes to the back and the 5 goes to the front. On the other side, which we first did, the 5 goes to the back and the 6 to the front. So they're reversed. The thing you just need to look at is that these bolts here, they're to the inside, just like that. And that's what really matters. So it's kind of logical, but this is confusing as they're swapped. All right, so for the next part, we're gonna be installing the sides here, the ones that unfold and like little platforms. And so it looks like we're gonna need 2 DD bolts. Again, same thing, 4 total. So we gotta grab one of these panels. They both look the same, and they're literally gonna line up right here. So this thread here is where the DD bolt goes, which are these here. Let's go ahead and grab 2. And they're literally gonna go through this opening here like this. We gotta hold that up there while going through there into this thread here. So it's a little dark under here, but just like that right there. And I'm just screwing it in. See, there's probably nothing, but. And so the way this platform works is you can go up with it out of the bolts and then lay it down. And here from the top, maybe you can see the way it goes a little better. So the bottom one is just the hook. And the one we just put in is the one where the whole thing slides on. But yeah. All right, and so this side is on too. Now we're starting to really look like a grill. So that was step 13. Now we got step 14, which is going to be installing this little platform, this one here. So we're literally just going to, on the top part, go in the hole there where the lid is. So once you get it over there, you can kind of slide it over, and then we'll go to the other one, which unfortunately is not big enough or round enough to go. So yeah, it looks like it's not round, like it wasn't drilled out correctly or punched out. So I'm gonna have to make that bigger. All right, so I just used these pliers here. I stuck it in there and wallowed it out. And we should be able to fit now. There we go. So it goes through. On the silver rod, we need to go down here, but this one up here wants to come out also. So it all kind of compresses together. 2 hands would probably be a lot better than 1, but let's see if I can get this one on here. There we go. All right, that seems perfect. We got sticking out here and sticking out here, and everything's holding on really good. All right, so that part's on. So we're getting close to finish here. Step 15, I'm gonna install the protectors for the burners and then the main rack for the grill. So here we have the protectors. Looks like the rest of the grill. So the back is this piece here. It's gonna clip on there. Tab right there, and then the front just sits right here between these 2 things here. So, and they have holes right here, and I'm guessing this is where you can access it to light it if you need to. All right, 2 in, and the third one, there we go, and that's what it looks like. Now we need to grab these and set them in, and there we go. We finally got the grill pretty much put together. So for the last part, we just need to install the dripping cup, and then we're pretty much done. We just got to connect our propane, and that's it. So our last piece here, I think that's how it goes basically. And if we look underneath, and this is where it hooks onto, and then everything that comes down drips down into that bowl. And we are officially finished with the assembly, and it looks really good. Now, if you guys noticed, probably we're inside the house and I need to take this outside. I also need to go get the propane tank and we'll connect that, and then we'll fire it up for the first time and let it burn in and heat up so all of the manufacturing oils and whatnot else is in there can burn off. All right, so we are on the porch now and you can see what the grill looks like. It's pretty good. Only thing is this one panel here was bent a little, so the crack's a little bit funny looking, but other than that, it turned out pretty good. And looks pretty decent too. So I got the propane tank. Let's go ahead and try to set it in there. It's a little bit heavy, but yeah, they're literally gonna sit right in there. The spring that kind of holds it, I guess, from tipping over. And basically that's how it goes. And this thing actually clips around it so it doesn't fall. So now we can install our regulator. Make sure all your connections are clean. We're just literally gonna screw it on there. Just like that. So yeah, everything looks good. Hose looks good. By the way, I did take the sticker off, which took a while. I had to use alcohol to rub off all the glue, but yeah, it looks so much nicer without it. And I did check underneath, there was no foam, so yeah, make sure you don't have that. Yeah, let's go ahead. Well, let's make sure everything's off first. Open up our tank. All right, let's see, we'll open this up. Let's go ahead and see if we can fire it up with this middle one. I don't know how good it's gonna work, but let's see. Okay, there we go. So it took a few tries, as that's what I expected when the gas to go through. But I can literally see it. You guys can see it burning there. So let's see how these light though. Yeah, they don't pop. So I think the way you would light these is you would close this first, put this on full power, and then open these up on smaller. And that should be able to. Okay, yeah, that lit them up right away. Okay, so they're all lit now. Actually, that works very well. Not sure exactly how they light, but they lit up. So it looks like we have pretty even heat, what I can feel. Yeah, very even actually. And with 3 burners, it should be pretty even. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it, let it heat up, probably put it on higher temperature, say about halfway or so. And we're gonna let it heat up and kind of burn off whatever's in there. And we can see our temperature gauge starting to rise. Actually, let me go ahead and put it on full power here. All right, so you got to be careful. There's no like stop. If you keep going, it just turns off. So I guess this way, like pointing exactly 90 degrees is about full or max. So if you go more, it starts to turn it off or turns it off. So yeah, there's no stopper. It just goes until it just clicks and turns off. So this feels like it's about full power here. The minimum is down here. So yeah, there's not much to play with here. But yeah, we're heating up really quick. We're already over 300. Oh yeah, it's really hot in there. Wow. That was quick, but yeah, looks good overall, guys. I'm gonna let it heat up real good and burn off, and eventually we'll cook something in here and see how it goes. And by the way, we're already at 400. Well, I got to 500 and it keeps going. Literally like 30 seconds later, and it keeps going up. And I turned it down a bit too, so I'm gonna turn it down all the way, as that's pretty hot enough to, you know, kill pretty much everything that we don't want in there. And once we start cooking, we're really gonna heat things up. But let's see what it stabilizes on the lowest heat without anything in there. So you know, there's nothing to excite it to get hotter. Yeah, it looks like it's keeping it over 500, no problem. All right, so it's been about 8 to 10 minutes, and surprisingly, it's been holding the 500, just under 500 there. All 3 of them are on the minimum setting. And so we're nice and toasty in there. And it's actually really windy right now out here. Yeah, the burners are still staying on even though there's quite a bit of wind. And I just made it drop to 400, but can't wait to throw something on there and see how it cooks. All right, so we're gonna cook some beef steaks. So these are kind of thin, nothing too fancy. I'm preheating the grill. I went ahead and cleaned the cooking rack and also put a little bit of oil on it. And we're medium low heat. It's heating up quickly. So when it gets to about 450, we'll go ahead and throw the meat on. All right, so we're above that. Should be nice and hot in here. Let's go ahead and throw these on. Sizzling. So we are having a little bit of volatility, but it's not blowing out the flames, at least in the medium heat. So these are pretty large pieces. Yeah, it looks like it could definitely fit this much or a little more. But yeah, that's a pretty big sheet there. So I'm going to close this, and we kind of cooled off a lot, but I'm going to turn this up a little higher. We're going to try to cook them pretty quick. They are pretty thin, so it's going to have to be pretty short cook time. But yeah, I love these extensions here, as you know, you have room to put stuff. And this thing even fits on here. So it's been a couple minutes. Temperature is not building too fast, but we are cooking, looks like. And the heat does feel very even. That's a good thing. It is kind of windy, and there's a hole right here that I think might be blowing in. Well, that's not too bad down here. Most of the wind is up here, so, but I can still hear the flames trying to blow off. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and then we'll flip it around. All right, so yeah, it's holding about 400, a little bit plus, and we're definitely cooking here. I can see it have a little bit of fire there. Let's go ahead and see what this looks like on the back side. Oh, look at that. It's perfectly heated even right here. Also pretty good. Pretty much the same here. perfect there. And good here. So everywhere it's very even, which is great. I mean, that one is cooked a little more than these, but yeah, I think we might have a little concentration of heat on that side. But yeah, overall, quite pleased with where the heat's going. Looks like everywhere. All right, so it's been about 34 minutes, and we actually got to 500. Let's see what we're looking like. So pretty much looks really good and quite even. Yeah, it's quite impressive how even it is. So it's cooking everything the same everywhere. So this is pretty much almost done. I'm gonna start pulling it out here in a bit. Give it a couple more minutes. But yeah, guys, this grill's quite nice. You get a pretty large cooking area. It's a nice lid with the handle. Temperature gauge on top. Pretty easy to use knobs. Lights pretty well every time. Got this cover here, which is nice aesthetic. The gas sits nicely to the side. You can roll it around on these wheels. And these extension leaves are nice. So yeah, it seems like a great grill for the price. If you guys want to get one for yourself, check out the links below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.